We have folks all the way from Honolulu. I saw in the chat that woke up at 5 a.m. to be here, and probably all the other different parts of the county and the country. So welcome everyone. Before I kick it off to Armando, I just want to say thank you all for joining us for this webinar. We, on behalf of President Ron Herrera of the LA County Federation of Labor and all the staff, we just want to thank you and say that the LA County Federation of Labor is here and committed to supporting you all during these times. I also just on the front end want to thank Scarlett Ying, who our communications associate, and Christian Castro, who have support us with the communications and technology piece of it and all kinds of communications effort in this time where communication is very important. So just a shout out to our amazing comms team. Now I'm going to turn it over to Armando Olivas, who's going to welcome, introduce us, and sort of ground us in when the Paycheck Stops is before we kick it off to our first presenter, Ken Gomez from EDD. Armando, take it away.
Good morning. I'm Armando Olivas. I'm the Executive Director for Labor Community Services in partnership, Labor Community Services Food and Emergency Program in partnership with the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor. Hugo just spoke on my first paragraph. I wanted to thank Hugo and Romero. He's done an excellent job on putting this webinar together. The LA Fed's comp team, Christian, Scarlett, and all the LA Fed team, they have been working late into the night on servicing our affiliates, our union members, and especially to our president, Ron Herrera, for his outstanding leadership and helping those that really call upon us for the need that they're asking us for. Immediately after the pandemic broke out, Labor Community Services had a lunch and learn meeting for labor leaders and their staff. We were able to have 40 labor leaders and staff attend our meeting while 25 heard on the phone. The nurses union provided an update on the coronavirus. UCLA LaCoche covered workplace safety. City of Los Angeles shared rapid response for displaced workers. EDD covered filing for unemployment benefits. And I shared how to survive when the paycheck stops, similar to today's presentation. But today we have 211, which is a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week information and referral agency, and DD Hirsch to talk about coping with stress during these times. Labor Community Services has partnered with the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank. We have been providing food to serve to union members. We've, in the past week, we were able to provide 2,400 families with food, which comes out to about 9,600 individuals. Labor Community Services and the Food Bank will continue to host these food drive-thrus that we're having now. Tomorrow at the IBW Hall Training Center in the City of Commerce from 10 to 2, we are going to have our largest food distribution tomorrow. We'll feed up to 4,000 individuals, families that drive in. We'll put a box of food in the back of their trunk and they can drive out. We'll continue to have these food distributions. We'll have one in LAX, San Fernando Valley, Long Beach, and Lancaster area. If you're interested in coming by, check the LA Fed's website and the Community Services website for location, dates, and times. We have branded Labor Community Services. You can see on the screen our new logo. We also had, with the compliments of the comp staff, a webpage that just went online, lcs-la.org. Community Services is, we're raising funds to continue our work. Please check out our website and share it with your friends, and share it with those in your unions. Rest assured that Labor Community Services and the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor will be in the forefront to serve you and your families and our communities. Be safe, stay well. We are all in this together, one union, one family, union strong. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for the panelists for joining us today with this valuable information. Thanks, Hugo. Oh, he's on mute.
Thanks, everyone. So we're going to kick it off with Ken Gomez from EDD. So we know, so all of our participants obviously have a lot going on. So and we hope that a lot of questions are answered throughout this process and a lot of valuable information is gained. But we recognize that every individual has very unique circumstances and unique questions, and that COVID-19 is really unprecedented in nature. So for that reason, given time constraint and given the volume, we won't be answering questions live, but we encourage you to one of two things. We want to answer the questions. This is what we're here for, and that's what we want, the purpose of the webinar. Either type them out in the chat, we won't answer them live, type them out in the chat and we will ensure that we get them to the panelists and get them answered, or through other means, find an answer to your question. Or two, email the panelists directly when they provide their contact information at the conclusion of their presentation. So those are the two options in terms of questions. But again, for the purposes of capacity and time constraints, we will not be answering questions live. But we do hope most are answered, and if not, we are committed to helping you find those answers either through the written form in the chat or through you emailing the panelists directly when they provide their contact information. So thank you for your understanding. With that, Ken, I'd like to introduce Ken, who has been very supportive and instrumental. As you can imagine, EDD and unemployment insurance is very critical right now. So he's graciously taken the time and has committed to doing future webinars to specific industries. So please take it away, Ken.
Hey, thank you, Hugo. And again, thanks to the LA County Federation of Labor for giving this amazing opportunity to reach out to over 670 participants at one time. As you can tell, we're slammed at the unemployment insurance branch, and this allows us to cover as much information with as many people as possible. I'm sure that you've probably seen today's headlines where 3.3 million people across the nation filed for unemployment last week. That's 4 times the record that was set in 1982. So a little bit about today's presentation. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties advancing to the next slide here. What we're going to talk a little bit about is what EDD is doing to manage the crisis. We're going to talk about UI basics. We know it's a very complex program, so we want to give you a good basic understanding of how it all works. I will also add to this that this is a very fluid situation, and there are a lot of efforts going on behind the scenes to provide financial relief and produce a more robust UI program as a result of the coronavirus. The presentation we're doing today is very generic in nature. We will ask you to focus on the process, and we will, as Hugo mentioned, there are industries like our folks in the entertainment industry that have very unique circumstances, and we'll address those in upcoming webinars. Again, thanks for joining us this morning, and let's go ahead and get started. So, what are we doing to help mitigate the unprecedented volume? Well, our work began a long time ago during the Great Recession. We've been putting together several plans. The EDD has a business continuity plan, and my branch, the unemployment insurance branch, has a economic resilience plan. These plans are really important to us because they keep us on track and they prepare for situations like this. So as of now, we've implemented our emergency telework program so that we can keep as many of our staff working as possible while safeguarding their health. This also allows us to move people out of traditional office space and allow for mass hiring and rapid expansion without having to execute costly leases. Plus, with having fewer people in the office, we can practice social distancing to keep everybody well and safe that aren't working at home. Currently, we've expanded hours for staff to file claims and make benefit payments. However, our call centers remain open from 8 a.m. to 12 noon. As you know, there's a lot of behind the scenes work that takes place with these claims, and we're doing all that we can, working from 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. in the evening to get our backlog taken care of. We're also reassigning managers and our support staff to production work so we can get those claims moving as quickly as possible. And we've even reached out to some of our other branches, such as the Workforce Service branch and our tax branch, to take previous UI employees and bring them back to our branch to assist with the volume. I know that a lot of you that have already filed have maybe expressed some frustration out there about our systems being slow. We are aware of it. We do want you to know that we are doing an hourly health check on all of our systems. And if anything is detected, we will address it immediately. We've also got permission from our director to make the EDD systems the top priority. So we're not having to vie with the other branches in our department for IT resources and or bandwidth. Also, thanks to our Labor Secretary, Julie Sue. She's given us permission to streamline a lot of our processes. And this evening, we're going to run some automation enhancements to help people file and get their claim and get paid benefits faster. So talking about the UI program, it's partial income replacement for employees who have lost their jobs or have had their hours reduced due to no fault of their own. So in many cases, customers are asking us, hey, do I qualify? People are telling me that I don't. My advice to everyone out there is the EDD has a very, very good process to determine eligibility. So if in doubt whether or not you qualify, please, please, please file a claim so that we can make that determination. If it's determined that you aren't eligible, we'll provide you with a reason and an opportunity to appeal that decision. Also, another fact about our program is it's funded by employers at no cost to employees. Currently, our weekly benefit amounts range from $40 to $450 based on your highest base period earnings. Again, based on what we've been reading in the headlines and nothing official yet, this appears that this could change over time. One thing that we are very grateful for to Governor Newsom is for waiving the 7-day waiting period. So rather than having to wait 7 days and not get paid for those first 7 days of your claim, you will be getting benefits during that time as well. So that's kind of the program in a nutshell. So filing a claim, the fastest way really is to use our online services called UI Online. It's a really great system, and once you file your claim, you'll be given access to all of your claim information, payment information, etc. So you could, in theory, file your claim, request your benefit payments, and manage your claim without having to speak to a representative. However, there is one thing you have to do first before you can access UI Online, and that is to create a benefit programs online login. The benefit with it to this particular login is it's not just good for the UI Online system, it also gives you access to SDI Online, which contains state disability insurance as well as paid family leave. The other alternative is to speak to an EDD representative between 8 and noon, except for weekends and state holidays. Again, our phone lines are jammed, so please bear with us. If the wait times are excessive, we do have a process in place where we call it virtual hold, where a representative can call you back as soon as possible or later that afternoon. So rather than wait on hold, please take advantage of that option if it works for you. Lastly, we have an opportunity for people to fax or mail their application. This is our least preferred method because it takes longer, and our real goal is to get people filed with their claims and paid as promptly as possible. The other thing, with mailing a form is you also have to rely on the delivery service. So if at all possible, please use our online services, followed by our phone services, and then lastly, fax or mail. So after you filed your claim, what happens next? Well, we send you lots of information because we want to make sure we got it right. We send you confirmation that the claim was filed, and with that documentation, we'll provide you with the information that you gave us. So that way, if there was an error, it's your opportunity to let us know by correcting it and sending the form back. We'll also explain how your weekly benefit was computed. It'll list all of the employers you work for, and we select the highest quarterly earnings. You'll also receive your EDD customer account number. This will allow you to register for UI Online. You'll also receive your first continued claim form to certify for benefits by mail. However, if you are using UI Online, you don't need to submit it by mail. You can simply do it online. And lastly, you'll get a brochure and a letter stating some customers will get this, not everyone, but there may be a requirement to register for CalJobs, which is the state's one-stop shop for jobs. And that has to be done within 21 days after you receive the actual notification. Again, we do encourage you to please, I know we're inundating you with a lot of information and it's very overwhelming, but we do want you to verify the accuracy of those documents, and please let us know if anything is incorrect. Moving forward, we may need to reach out to you for other reasons to gather more information or to provide you with some updates on the program that would be relevant. So continue to read, review, and respond to all EDD communication. So how do you get paid? Well, this process we call certifying for benefits. So to request your benefit payments, you need to provide the EDD with eligibility information every 2 weeks to make sure that you meet our weekly eligibility criteria. The basic requirements are to be physically able to work, readily available to work, actively seeking work, accepting work, and reporting any income that you may have. What we mean by actively seeking work, there's a lot of confusion out there, but it's a very, very broad and flexible definition. Looking from work could range from looking on the internet, say at the Indeed website for a job. It could be checking with your cousin to say, hey, does your employer have work for me? Or even checking back with your own employer to see if they have hours available. Again, it's a very, very flexible approach, but it is a requirement. One other thing I would like to also mention while we're on the eligibility requirements is you don't need to be a US citizen to qualify for unemployment insurance. However, you must have satisfactory immigration status and be authorized to work in the United States for each week that you claim benefits. The next question leads into how do you actually certify benefits? Again, we have 3 options just like filing your claim. The fastest way is through UI Online and UI Online Mobile. And I highly recommend the UI Online Mobile option because it's the way it's formatted is so much easier than using a desktop computer. It's really quick, it's radio buttons, it's fast, fast, fast. You do need one thing, which is your EDD account number to register for full access to UI Online, and it's available 24/7. Some of our customers who file their claims through UI Online will automatically be registered based on the fact that they've provided us with all the information that we need to get them started. So don't be surprised if you get a nice email from the EDD saying account created. This means you can skip the registration of UI Online and start using it immediately. We also have Telecert, which is again a 24/7 service, and that's accessible via our self-service phone line. And lastly, if you prefer to mail your form in, just make sure that you allow extra time for mail delivery and processing. So now that you've certified for benefits, how will you get the money to you? Well, once your first payment is made by the EDD, you'll receive a debit card in the mail. We say allow 5 business days for delivery from Bank of America. If you already have a debit card from a previous EDD claim, such as unemployment, paid family leave, or disability, and it's not expired, meaning it's less than 3 years old, you will use that card. However, if you've misplaced it, you would need to contact Bank of America EDD debit card customer service for a replacement. The benefit of having the card is you can get cash at ATMs or cash back for merchants with cash back options. It's accepted anywhere Visa is, and you can set up an automatic transfer to any financial institution. So if you're not with B of A and you want to go to your money to go to your credit union, no problem. You can set that up online or by calling them direct. They have a dedicated call center that deal with nothing but EDD customers. So make sure that if you need help, you'll get a packet in the mail from Bank of America with a little wallet card. Stick that in your wallet, and you can get online or telephonic services 24/7. The important thing to keep in mind about our EDD debit card, because it is a prepaid card, branch offices cannot assist you with inquiries like your balance, etc. The only thing they can help you with is ATM withdrawals and teller withdrawals, for which there are no fees. So moving on to self-service tools, we've already covered some of them already, but I want to reiterate our website is the starting place for everything. It's available 24/7. You can get information on all EDD programs there. Most importantly, you'll get updates on our COVID-19 efforts, and there are FAQs there. We're adding more and more by the day, so please check back on a regular basis. You'll also find information on any impacts to our program as a result of the federal stimulus efforts. This is also the way you'll access all the EDD self-service tools. There are helpful forms, publications, and educational videos for people that would like more instruction. But we hope you find our self-service applications to be more intuitive So if you've set up online accounts before in the past, they operate on a very similar principle. I mentioned benefit programs online earlier. This really gives you access to all the 3 EDD benefit programs: disability, paid family leave, and unemployment insurance. If you haven't done so already, I would highly encourage at the very least you set up an account today. It's super simple. You need to provide them with your personal email address, create a password, go through the usual security questions, pick an image and a caption, and then to finalize the process, you'll have to respond to a link that they will send you via email. So our self-service phone line for folks that don't have a computer or internet access, this is a really good option. You can certify for your benefits by phone. However, to access the secured parts of this system, you do need to create a 4-digit PIN or enter one when you're calling in. Again, it's very intuitive. It'll prompt you through each step as you go along. The other benefit of the system is you can get information on your last payment made. This system is updated daily at 6 a.m. So again, last payment information, certified for benefits. If you need to hear recorded information about our program, such as how to file a claim, or information about UI Online or about our America's Job Centers of California, there's information available to you on this number as well. So we want to make this particular, we know being unemployed is a bummer, and we want to make this as pleasant for you as possible. And please know that we have some wonderful allies like the LA Federation, the Los Angeles County Federation of Labor that are helping us get the word out. So to help yourself, we encourage you to file and certify for your benefits using UI Online. We also suggest reading and responding promptly, if required, to all EDD communication. Be available for any phone interviews to resolve claim issues. And we know it's hard to get a hold of us. That's why we schedule interviews, so that we can reach out to you rather than you trying to get a hold of us. Other things that I found to be very helpful during the last recession was to set up an alert via the EDD debit card website or through Bank of America. This will let you know when payments from the EDD have been posted to your card or when you have a low balance. Again, I cannot stress the importance of checking our website on a regular basis for updates, as this is an extremely fluid situation and the most up-to-date information will be on the web. We also have helpful web pages and educational videos, as I mentioned earlier, and you can use our website to access CalJobs for registration purposes. So you have a lot of resources available to you in addition to the website. We have a web page, and I don't expect you to memorize the links, but if you go to our website and you type in keyword additional resources, there is a lot of great information that refers you to other government agencies for assistance. For example, you might need help with a financial planner, or you may need assistance with healthcare, et cetera. This is a one-stop shop for all of the public resources that are available to you. Also, the COVID-19 updates are there, access to UI Online, and lots of other really good information. So again, thank you guys for all of your attention, for bearing with us through this painful experience. And again, thank you for being here today to get information about the EDD UI program. Again, as Ugo mentioned, if you have questions, feel free to put them into the chat pod, and I'll be happy to answer them, and they'll be posted as FAQs. Thanks again, and good luck with everything.
Thanks. Ken, just very briefly.
Yes.
Two things. So just on the undocumented, I know you and I have discussed the undocumented piece. Do you want to just give folks for undocumented workers or just immigration status as it relates to unemployment insurance, and two, the language access and all the various languages
yes.
resources are available in?
Yes, let me start with the languages first, because that's really something we're very passionate about. All of our EDD documentation and public-facing systems are in English and Spanish. However, we do have a very diverse state, so our core publications and some of our videos are in 10 additional languages, and those range from Armenian, Cantonese, Mandarin, Tagalog, Russian, Korean, Hmong, Vietnamese, and Punjabi. I'm sure I left one or two of those out, but we do want to let you know that we have an official language access program. Even though we only have our key documentation in a total of 12 languages, our staff speak over 90 languages, and we do have access to the AT&T language line for the languages that we don't speak. So if you need assistance and you prefer to deal in another language other than English or Spanish, we can locate someone from EDD that can speak that language to better assist you. Keep in mind, they may not necessarily be a UI expert, but they're really good translators and they're very fluent in the language. Segueing back to the citizenship status, again, as I mentioned earlier in the presentation, when we talked about eligibility, you do not have to be a US citizen to collect benefits. All that we require is that you have work authorization to work in the United States for each week that you're requesting benefits. And that's basically all that we ask.
Thanks.
Anything else?
That's good. There's a lot more that you will be getting a couple pages of questions worth as a follow-up, but we're also going to follow up on our conversation we had on for everyone in the entertainment industry. Just so you know, we are very aware and we've received your questions both before and during the discussion. We will be following up with IATSE Entertainment Industry specific webinar that Ken graciously offered to do based on our conversations and the needs. So we'll be following up with that and have conversations with your leadership to consolidate main themes and questions that you all are facing. And that goes for, you know, this is just particularly the entertainment industry, but just so everybody on the webinar knows, this is something we're open to doing and facilitating. We're here to help as much as we can, because again, as I said in the beginning, we recognize that the needs and circumstances vary greatly across industries and individuals. So thank you so much, Ken.
You're very welcome. And regarding the FAQs, we have a lot of FAQs on our website, albeit not the easiest to always locate it. But if you get stuck and you need some assistance, we have a really good search engine. You might want to use that as a starting point. Unfortunately, we can't address every single question on the web, otherwise we'd be there for years and days trying to update it. But your questions are really important, and we do want to get them. And if there's something that we feel that will benefit everybody else, if you don't mind, we'll be putting those questions on our website. We have a meeting tomorrow to discuss additional FAQs for the entire EDD, so we do appreciate you submitting your questions. This will be very helpful in our future planning. Thank you, and signing off for now.
Thanks, Ken. So up next, I'm going to pass it over to Alana Hitchcock. She is with 211 LA, sort of serves as a central hub for resources, mental health and human resources across LA County. Please take it away, Alana.
Great, thank you. Welcome everybody. I'm very happy to be here with you today and look forward to seeing all of the questions that we receive later, and I'll be happy to answer those. So let me go ahead and do my share screen here. Okay. Oh, need to move that. Okay. Is everyone seeing that, Hugo? Good. Okay, so I am with 211 LA County, and what I'm going to be leaving you with today that I hope to make clear and easy is the different ways that you can reach 211 for assistance according to your preference of how you would like to get in touch, communicate, and find services. Knowledge of the range of topics and services that 211 can assist you with, and this is both for, you know, the sort of everyday situations we are seeing before, as well as in this unprecedented time of the coronavirus or COVID-19 pandemic. I will also speak specifically about our coronavirus related services and supports. And then I will also help show you how to self-serve use our website. So a little bit about 211 LA County. A lot of people don't know that we actually have been around for a very long time. The 211 dialing code is newer as of 2005, but we've been serving the County of Los Angeles since 1981 as a 24/7 information, referral, and assistance hotline. And the reason we're here is to help people who don't really know what service they might need, what services are available, or how to go about contacting and accessing them. So some other things people might not know is that despite county in our name, we are a nonprofit organization that works closely with and contracts with the County of Los Angeles, multiple county departments, and other state, local, and community-based partners. We are one of the largest in the nation, but we are part of a network that I will talk a little bit about for people who are outside of LA County looking for services. And in a typical year, we serve close to 400,000 contacts annually. So for people who aren't familiar with what 211 is, everybody knows 911, and some people, especially in LA, know 311. 211 is a federally designated code for information and referral to community services. So what that means is that currently almost every state has 211. I think there's one holdout still. And it's done differently in different states. Some have a statewide system, others have a county-based system. Here in California, we do have a county-based system. So if you are living in a different county and you call 211, or if you're traveling in a different county, you will reach that county's 211. So later I will show you there's an 800 number if you're trying to reach us specifically in LA County for information about county services. 311 is local government specific services, but that's only in the city of LA. We handle those types of requests for elsewhere in the county as well. Okay. So the basic premise of how 211 works is that you don't have to know exactly what you are looking for. You just have to sort of be aware of your situation and call us to tell us what's going on. And we will try to figure out the best fit service or referral or information that you need to fit your needs. Our community resource advisors are highly trained, certified with national industry standards to assess and then search our comprehensive database, which I'll talk a little bit more about, but is the community resource database for the County of Los Angeles. And we have about 50,000 services that they can search for. So there's a few different ways to connect with us. Everyone is most familiar with calling. As I mentioned, if you're inside the County of LA, you can dial 211 to connect with us. But we also do have a live chat on our website. It is in the footer of most of the pages. I will say that we're about to launch a new website where the chat will be more prominent and easy to access. One thing to keep in mind right now, because we are experiencing very high call volume due to coronavirus, is that the chat does go into the same queue as the calls. So if that's your preferred method of communication, you'll get the same service, you'll get the same referrals as you would from a call, but you still might have to wait a little bit sometimes of the day. And then the other way is to self-serve. Our entire database is searchable through our website, and I will be showing you that a little bit. So you can, if you're feeling computer savvy, you kind of want to explore or know what you're looking for, you can do that. So a little bit about what to expect when you call 211. It is 24/7, as we mentioned, 365 days a year. And the first thing that you will hear on our menu when you call is to select for language. So over 50% of our staff is bilingual, mostly English-Spanish, so we can handle a lot of Spanish-speaking calls. We do have some other languages on staff as well. But for other languages, we do use a live translation service that has over 200 languages. And we have never had a language that we haven't been able to assist. Fingers crossed that remains true. So language should not be a barrier to service. The second thing it'll ask you to select is what you're calling for. These are our current menu options. You will hear them, so you don't have to memorize them, but just to let you know, if you don't hear, what you're looking for, just press 7. That's for all or general issues. And the reality is you're going to get to the same people and the same service if you press any of these, with the exception that we are working with other call centers to assist with coronavirus information referrals. So if you press 1 and you reach one of our contracted call centers, they might have to transfer you back if what you're looking for is not coronavirus. So if you're not sure, I would press 7. So once you have selected that, you will be put into our call queue to speak with a community resource advisor. You do have an option to select callback if you don't want to wait in the queue. I always like to let people know it doesn't say 211 when they call you back. It does have a 626 area code from where we're located in the San Gabriel Valley. So do look out for that. And the callback option is only available until early evening because regulations don't allow us to call back after a certain time. So depending on the length of the queue the wait time, that might be around 7 p.m. or so, or a little bit later. And then the last thing is, after the community resource advisor has spoken with you about your situation, found some referrals, she will review them with you and go through things like what the hours of operation are, what the contact information is, if there are any requirements that you would need to meet or documentation you would need to provide so that you're prepared for what to expect at the service. And then they will offer to send those to you via email, which is our recommended way because you get all of that information in the text sent to you. You can also receive them by text. If you do choose the text option, you will get abbreviated information plus a link to our website that has the more extensive information. And then you also can just take it down verbally if you don't have access to either of those options. As we talk more about coronavirus, I will let you know about what we're doing to try to keep up with the quickly happening updates. Okay, so the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic, 211 is the county's hotline for public information and questions on coronavirus. So we are the public-facing information center for answering questions, for updating resources and providing information. And we are continually adding additional services, information, and updates from our resource team, which we have a dedicated team that is just looking at the information coming in, making sure that our community resource advisors have access to it, that it is verified. And they have an important rumor control function. As we know, there's a lot of misinformation going around out there, and sometimes, unfortunately, it's even misinformation about what 211 can help with. So I'm going to clarify that a little bit. But we will check on the rumor and do some demystifying of that and verify whether it is true or not. We are also working to update all of the services that might be closing or changing their procedures to call first. But I always encourage you to, if you receive a referral, try reaching out to the agency before you go in. Most places are not accepting walk-ins right now. So that's just a general recommendation. And we have received over 13,000 calls as of Tuesday and over 15,000 by now. And that is a huge amount of calls in addition to our regular calls. So we are working very hard. We've already doubled our call center capacity, and we're continuing to train more people and increase that as the need provides to try to get to more of our callers. But as I mentioned, especially during the day, there might be a wait time. Okay, so for coronavirus, what can 211 help you with and what can we not help you with? Like I said, there's been a lot of misinformation in the news. We absolutely can help provide information and answer questions about the symptoms, how it's spread, how you can disinfect and stay safe, about the Safer at Home health order and any updates to that, and try to answer any questions about whether it applies to certain types of businesses and that sort of thing. We do have guidance for workers, employers, businesses, service providers. We also can provide referrals if you don't have health insurance to sign up for health insurance, or if you don't have an assigned medical provider, we can refer to certain clinics that are still taking those. What we cannot do, though, on that side is provide a screening for coronavirus symptoms. That's currently not something that we are doing. We're not medical professionals. We are still saying you need to contact your doctor or clinic provider. Again, if you don't have one, we can help you find one. We also cannot provide a testing kit or a test for you or supplies. We have gotten those questions a lot. We are tracking the various food distribution sites. They are coming up quickly. But also if you need CalFresh food benefits, if you're struggling financially to purchase food, we can help refer you to how you sign up for those benefits, as well as local food distribution. What we can't do is, if you still are able to purchase groceries, we can't tell you what grocery stores have what or anything like that. we do recommend, still supporting local restaurants and grocery stores as they are restocking as they can. And then we also, another rumor that was going around, we cannot refer you to a hotel room or book a hotel room for you, not at the Fairplex or any other hotel or quarantine locations. That does need to go, you have to go through a process of first being screened and tested, having symptoms, and being referred there by the Department of Public Health after your test results. They're going to be providing more guidance publicly on that over the coming days. For anyone who needs to self-isolate and doesn't have a place to do that at their home. But we can provide information about shelter, temporary housing. We do have a program for motel vouchers for homeless families. That is only for homeless families. And then information on the eviction moratorium, as well as general information on county services and how those are changing. But not any direct connections to, I want to speak with public health. We can't get you through that way. Okay, so I'm sure there'll be more questions about that. And as I mentioned, we're still continuing to work with partners to add additional services and capacity as things are changing. So this list might change over the coming weeks. So we will be updating our website. Some of the other reasons that people can call 211, and these hotlines are all still active and still helping people, is our elder abuse hotline for reporting potential elder or dependent adult abuse or financial fraud. I do want to point this out because there is a lot of fraud going on right now. There's a lot of cyber crime targeting people who are, having fear and anxieties around coronavirus. So watch out for links from people that you don't know. Be very careful about anything that seems to promise something that seems too good to be true. There is a lot of fraud going on right now. We have other resources for the rest of the population around fraud as well. For the unincorporated parts of LA County, we provide the helpline, as I mentioned, like the 311 service equivalent and code enforcement. We have other hotlines that are statewide. A couple new ones that I want to direct your attention to is if you witness or experience an act of hate or bullying or discrimination that is based on, someone's perceived nation of origin, ethnicity, religion, gender, sexual orientation, the protected classes, we are accepting reports of that, and then we'll connect you to resources. So we're partnering closely with the county's Commission on Human Relations for this effort to provide a safe place to report hate. And then we offer follow-up services, a dedicated care coordinator who can provide referrals to support services, but also advocacy, and really walk you through the process if you're trying to file a police report or anything like that. And we also do have online services and guided searches and reporting available on our website. So I want to take you to our website so that can show you just a little bit about how to do the search yourself. I think it's a great way to explore and see a lot of the things that are out there that you might not be aware of. So it is 211la.org. Most of the sites is mobile compatible. And as I mentioned, we're launching a new website within the next couple of weeks. So I'll also talk about just how that experience will be changing. But a couple things that I want to point out is that we do have the keyword search at the top of the website, as well as a guided search under Find Resources, and then various community-specific searches as well. You can also search by keyword. So, it's not Google. You can't type in a sentence like, where can I find food? But you could type in groceries or hot meals or something like that. So try various keywords to sort of find what you're looking for. You can also enter the agency name if you already know the organization that you're looking for to find information on their various sites and contact information. And then, as I mentioned, if you can't find what you're looking for, you can also go for the live chat. So let me see if I can take you to the website here. Okay, that should be on the screen now, website. Okay, so this is our website, 211la.org. As I mentioned, you've got the keyword search right at the top. You can go to our coronavirus information page, which is in this scrolling banner, but also we have a big button right here on the front page to get to. This is the 800 number if you're outside of LA County trying to reach us. So it is on our homepage right here. So that's the number you can dial if you're out of the county, or if for any reason, some older buildings or might not have the redirect to us. So if for any reason you're having trouble getting through to 211, use that 800 number to reach us. So on the homepage, we do have guided searches. These are predefined popular searches, that things that we know people are looking for. So we have a bunch of different categories here, and this is not comprehensive. So again, if you don't see something that you're looking for, go ahead and try the keyword search. But I'll show you, for example, let's look at seniors and older adults. So we have various categories that have already been specified for the results that you can find for them. So things like Medicare, Medi-Cal, various healthcare topics, various sort of brain and neurological needs, food, housing, advocacy and information for seniors, transportation, caregiver supports. This is something a lot of people are not aware of, that there are support systems out there for caregivers. That actually is another program that we have for referring people to caregiver supports if you call us as well. So once you find, if you see a category you're interested in looking at, you can just click here, and if you want to enter your zip code to get specific results around you, you can do that, or you can do a countywide search to see all of the results that you get. So I will submit 91776, which is our nearby where our office is in San Gabriel. And so you're going to get a lot of results because the default is set to 15, so you can try adjusting the radius. You also can use the filters on the right-hand side, particularly the target populations one, to see if you can narrow it further that way. One thing I just want to make sure you know about the current website is the results that are showing are the agency names. To see the specific services that have triggered that agency to come up, make sure you go to the Read More. And under the Read More, you'll have the contact information and location for the services, a description of the agency, and then each of the actual specific services that the agency offers. So you click under here to get all of the details, including a description of their various services, and if there are any fees or payment required, if there's an application procedure, what their hours are, and what languages they serve, and sometimes additional areas as well, if there's any specifics. And you can also click on here to get directions in Google. So that's the basics of the website search. Again, you can also use keyword. One thing that I want to just mention very quickly about the new website is that it will return the results at the service level, and then we're going to have a big search box right on the top with some quick links. It is designed to make it easier to get exactly to what you're looking for. So there's additional guided searches that you can narrow down and filter down with tags with a lot of different filters, and switch between what might be the best fit service for you overall or the closest fit, and look on the map as well. So again, that'll be coming out within the next couple weeks. It's the same database, it's just a little bit different way to get there. So in closing, I just want to remind everyone that 211 is here for you anytime you need help and you don't know where to start, or if you know what you're looking for, but you just need to get the information about where to get there. We are constantly updating resources for COVID-19 and coronavirus and all of the service changes that people are making. There is a little bit of a delay in that because our database has over 4,500 different organizations and about 13,000 site locations. So we are working as quickly as we can on that. But again, we have all of the official information. And then we always just recommend that you contact an agency before you show up in person, given all of the current requirements. So we are here for you 24/7. We also, I should point out, are active on Facebook and Twitter in particular. Twitter, we share a lot of updates, events, information, news, resources. So I would encourage you, if you are on Twitter, to follow us. It's at 211 LA County. And we also are on Instagram and Facebook, though not quite as actively. And we do respond to requests for information and referrals through those channels as well. So that's it for me, and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Alana. We really appreciate everything you and everyone is doing for folks. Up next, I want to pass it off to Betty Jimenez, who's with the LA Regional Food Bank. And they've been one of LCS's and Fed's tremendous partners in making sure that union members and other families across LA County are having some food given to them. So in another pitch, I'll ask Scarlett to share the registration link for our food drive tomorrow that LCS and the Fed is coordinating, where we hope to provide food to over 2,000 folks in Commerce. So Scarlett will share that in the chat section for folks who are healthy and willing and have the capacity to do so. We'd appreciate all the help. So up next, Betty, I'm gonna pass it over to you to take it away. Feel free to share your screen. Betty, can you hear me? Betty? How about Vic? Can you hear me, Vic?
Yeah, I can hear you now. You were muted there.
All right, so for the interest of time, I don't know if Betty's having technical difficulties, but we're gonna pass it over to you because I know you have to head out by 11.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much. Let me pull this up. All right. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending. My name is Vic Clement, and I'm with the Society for Financial Awareness. We're a 501c3 nonprofit, and our role is to provide financial awareness education, advocacy, counseling, and advice. And we do a lot of that through the AFL-CIO Labor Community Services, United Way, and a bunch of locals. Today I'm going to be talking about protecting and managing your credit while we're going through this difficult time. The rule to remember is that you cannot borrow your way into financial security. So I'll be going through slides. There'll be some technical information as far as how credit and credit reporting works, but I'll be focusing more on what you can and should be doing and should not be doing to take advantage of your credit in the best possible way. And if I can get that. All right, so everybody probably has heard that there's a credit score thing out there. The range goes from 300 to 850, 300 being the lowest, 850 being the absolute best credit. The average is probably around 678, 700, around there. You generally want to try to keep that up in at least in the 750 range. Okay, and so how you do that is by not having too much credit extended, by not having balances too high, and so forth. If you have a ton of credit cards out there, that's going to harm you. And the reason why that kind of thing is important is because if you have too much credit extended to you and you want to try to rent an apartment or something like that, it's going to cost you more. I'm sure a lot of folks have gone out and bought cars and have realized that they get better interest rates with a good credit score and not so good interest rates with a low credit score. And so you want to try to protect that. And what happens during times like this, if you are relying on your credit cards, which, of course, sometimes you have to do what you have to do, but if you're relying on your credit cards to pay bills and you're running up your balances, that's going to bring down your credit score, and it's going to make it more difficult for you to access other financial facilities, such as car loans and apartments and things like that. So you have to be very careful about that. Not only that, of course, when you're credit card balances go up, your monthly payments go up, and so that puts a stress on your monthly household expense overall as well. So here's a slide with what goes into your credit score and the things that you need to protect, right? So your payment history, how much you owe. So your payment history, pay on time, how much you owe. Don't use your credit too much. The length of your credit history. Okay, if you have a long history, if you're canceling cards or especially credit cards, don't cancel the old ones, because the longer your history, the better your score and the lower the interest rates that you'll be able to get. And then how much new credit you have is accounted against you as well. If you've gone out and gotten a bunch of credit cards in a short period of time, or loans and whatever type of credit in a short period of time, that lenders kind of look at that as what's going on in this person's life, that they're out trying to borrow a whole bunch of money, that kind of thing. All right, so what other things what's in your credit report are your personal information, your name, address, social security number, and all that kind of thing, what accounts you have, what the balances are, how many times your credit gets checked. So if you're out trying to get loans and trying to get credit cards, every inquiry is counted, and if you have too many of them, they will also bring down your credit score, making it more expensive for you to get credit. And then the big thing in these times is the negative items that would appear on your credit score. So it could, on your credit report, it could come about that you're unable to make payments, and so you would have late payments showing up, judgments. If things go into collections, that's going to show up, and that's going to really hurt you. So you have to prioritize what you're doing with what money you have. And so you want to, of course, you want to keep a roof over your head. You want to make sure you're paying your rent or your mortgage. You want to make sure you're keeping food on the table. And thank goodness there's a food bank to help you out with that type of thing, 211 to help you out with your rent, and so on and so forth. So take advantage of all of those. Don't try to be a lone wolf out there where you're trying to handle everything yourself. All these resources are available to you. So before you start plowing into your available credit, get what you can from the resources that have been that are being discussed in this briefing. Okay, so what's not in your credit score? Your race, religion, your age, how much you make, or things like that. They don't really care about all of that. They just care about what is your ability to pay them back when you borrow money. Now, a lot of times your credit report has incorrect information in it. Up to 70 to 90% of credit reports have some kind of mistake, and it's a good idea to check on those. Check on your credit report, especially during times like these, because as Alana was saying, there's a lot of fraud going on, and because of the COVID-19 pandemic. And so you want to make sure that someone else is not getting credit on your social security number and that type of thing. And I'll give you information on how you can check that for free without any strings attached. Okay, so check it. If you find something wrong, then report it to the credit agencies. If there's fraud, then report that to the police. You can file a complaint with the FTC. They have a branch of their organization that deals specifically with cybercrime, that type of thing. Obviously, if your accounts have been compromised, you want to close any of those accounts. A lot of times banks and credit card companies, they do spot those in advance, and I'm sure many of you have received new credit cards in the mail because they just went ahead and closed your other account because there's strange activity on there, that type of thing. Or you've gone into a store and not been able to use your credit card because you used it in another state the day before because you were traveling and it was kind of unusual. So they try to protect you as well, but the best protection is for you to stay on top of your own situation. All right, so make your payments on time. If you have to make the minimum payments, make the minimum payments, but just try to keep things going as best you can. of course, don't get overextended. Don't go out and get credit cards just to start paying your bills. Find other resources to do that, because what's going to happen if you overload your credit, when this situation is resolved, and let's say a couple of months from now, and the life is getting back to normal, your life won't be getting back to normal because your credit will be maxed out, and that's going to create all kinds of problems for you. And if you do get into a situation where you are using a lot of your credit and your credit score goes down, you can build it back up. Just give yourself time, make your payments regularly, and try to pay your credit cards down as best you can. There's a couple of ways that you can do that. I'm not discussing that here, but you can Google the snowball method, for example, or the avalanche method of paying down credit. Right, a couple of places where you can, well, here are the credit bureaus that report your credit: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. And you can get an annual credit report for free, and there's no strings attached. They don't capture you and try to sell you things and so on and so forth. It's www.annualcreditreport.com. This site is actually endorsed by the government for you to go up there once a year and get your credit report and see what's going on there. And that gives you the ammunition to contact any of these agencies, Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion, to go ahead and get those any outstanding issues resolved on your credit from your credit report. All right, so where can you get some money to help you through? If you're being laid off, even if it's only temporary, you can roll over your 401k to an IRA. Now, why would you do that? Because once it's in an IRA, you can take out as little or as much as you want and avoid paying taxes on the lump sum. So, for example, you could just withdraw it from your 401k, and let's say you had $50,000 in your 401k. Well, that's like getting a $50,000 paycheck, and you're going to be responsible for the taxes and possibly penalties for withdrawing it early. But if you roll it over to an IRA and you only need a few $1,000s, you can roll it over to an IRA, take the few $1,000s, and then you're only paying the taxes on the few $1,000 plus any possible penalties if you're under 59.5, or actually it's 55 if you're being laid off. So it kind of gives you control over how you can get access to that money. And it's better to use that money than to get into debt, deep debt with by using up your credit. So I would highly recommend that. And then if your credit does get fouled up, there's a 501c3 nonprofit. It's Cambridge Credit Counseling. I highly recommend it. That's their number there, 888-774-6602. They don't charge you anything up front to help you get your credit reorganized. And they renegotiate everything for you, and they set you up with a payment plan and that type of thing. And they pad a little bit onto your payment plan, and that's what keeps them going. But it's not like a lot of companies that you hear about that charge you a bunch of money up front. Beware of companies that promise, or organizations that promise to increase your credit score within 2 weeks or so, because those are not usually, they're always scams. Yeah, they will bring your credit score up, and then immediately after that, the techniques that they're using cause your credit score to plummet. So stay away from those. I highly recommend this nonprofit. Right. So that's really all I want to get across: is be careful with your credit. Use other resources as best as you can that are available. And if you have any questions about any of these things, you can call me at this number here. It's probably better to text me, since my phone is kind of ringing off the hook these days. I do get back. Or you can email me at vic@vicclement.com. I know there are a lot of people online from IATSE. You guys can all get a hold of me through Local 80 as well. And I'm there once a week. Well, right now they're shut down, but under normal circumstances. So feel free to contact me. I'll be happy to give you as much advice, information, do research for you, that type of thing. And again, it's Vic Clement, Society for Financial Awareness. Thanks, and I hope to see you all around pretty soon. And that's it for me.
Thank you so much, Vic. I really appreciate that, especially as you and Alana have mentioned, there's a lot of fraud going around from unscrupulous individuals trying to take advantage of the moment. So we really appreciate that. And so we're gonna try and go back to Betty. I did speak to her when I went off camera, some glitches. So Betty, do you wanna give it another shot? Try sharing your screen and on Regional Food Bank? I know she can hear me, but we can't hear her. Do you want to, have you tried sharing your screen, Betty? Okay, we're still not, seems like we're still not fixed. We will move on to Mario Chavez of St. John Wellness Center to speak to us about healthcare access in LA County. Thanks, Mario.
Morning, everybody. Can you all hear me okay? Can
Yes.
you all hear me? Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for having me. My name is Mario Chavez. I'm Director of Government Affairs and Community Outreach at St. John's Well Child and Family Center. I want to start by acknowledging that many of you on this teleconference may have been directly impacted or represent somebody that may have been directly impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. And I want to let you know that you're not alone. I want to start also by thanking Armando and his team at Labor Community Services and Ron Herrera, the president of the LA County Federation of Labor, for working so hard and putting this presentation together. Let's get started. I'm gonna try to keep it brief. I have a lot to cover and a little bit of time. So let me share my screen here with you all. Share screen. Bear with me, here we go. All right, does that look fine to people? Perfect, here we go. So we're gonna get started. Like I mentioned earlier, my name is Mario Chavez. I work at St. John's Well Child and Family Center. We're a proud union shop represented by SEIU Local 721. They represent 500 union employees throughout 17 clinics and 2 mobile clinics in Los Angeles and Compton. So here we go. So we're gonna get into the 3 main ways people in LA County, and I'm saying LA County specifically because the LA County Federation of Labor represents people in LA County. I know there are people that live in San Bernardino, Ventura County that probably work in LA. My presentation is specific to LA County because there are certain programs that we have here. So in Los Angeles County, there are 3 main ways you can access healthcare outside of going to a private doctor and paying out of pocket, which many of us, unfortunately, cannot afford at this moment. So I'll attempt to squeeze all that information into this presentation. It's very complex, but I'll do my best. So our largest source of healthcare access is actually Medi-Cal, which is a federal and state funded program. Medi-Cal is a program that offers free or low cost health coverage for children and adults based on income and resources. If you qualify for Medi-Cal, you can enroll year round. So it's not a problem for folks that might have recently lost their job and need to apply to get on a Medi-Cal plan. The second option we have here in LA County is the My Health LA program. The My Health LA program is a unique program that we have here in LA County. It's a no-cost healthcare program for low-income residents of Los Angeles County who do not have health insurance. My Health LA is a program where participants can get ongoing quality healthcare from a team of healthcare providers at community clinics, referring any specialty needs to LA County hospitals and clinics. So if you qualify, Just like Medi-Cal, it's open year round. The last option I will cover is Covered California. Covered California is the state's health insurance marketplace where Californians can shop for health plans and access financial assistance if they qualify for it. There normally is an open enrollment period beginning October 15th to January 31st, 2020 of this year. Individuals with qualifying life-changing events. So what is a life-changing event? Loss of coverage due to unemployment, got married or divorced, had a baby, adopted a child, you recently moved to California, you just turned 26 and are no longer eligible under your parents' plan. Any of the situations I just described are eligible for enrollment within a 60-day period of that life-changing occurrence. So currently, because of COVID-19 or the COVID-19 pandemic, Covered California is considering this an open enrollment period, allowing people to enroll that might not have been enrolled. So now we're going to get into the good stuff. Who is eligible? We're going to start with Medi-Cal. So for Medi-Cal, U.S. citizens are eligible for Medi-Cal. Legal permanent residents or green card holders are eligible for Medi-Cal. I want to be clear, there's a lot of confusion with the whole public charge rule change. Public charge rule change does not impact legal permanent residents. So if you're a green card holder, you are entitled to Medi-Cal. So there is no, when you try to naturalize, to become a citizen, there is no public charge test. That is only done when you're trying to become a permanent resident, okay? So for clarity, there's another complex, what would we call it? Eligibility category called PRUCAL, permanently residing under color of law, which is basically a person that U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, otherwise known as USCIS, knows that the individual is here, but there is no deportation order for that individual. An example, people that have temporary protective status, people that are DACA recipients, people that are refugees. So, another category that is also eligible are pregnant women, and that's regardless of immigration status, okay? So in California, we have a couple of programs. One of them is for pregnant women. Another one is for women that have breast or cervical cancer, where immigration status does not matter. So those are a couple of examples of programs that folks are eligible for regardless of immigration status. There's also eligibility for folks who were in foster care at age 18 and are now eligible until age 26. So that means they get coverage through age 25, and upon their 26th birthday is when they are no longer covered by Medi-Cal. There's also Medi-Cal breast. I already spoke of the Medi-Cal breast and cervical cancer program, and that one is a little different on income eligibility. So for the most part, everything I'm talking about here, and that's going to be on the next slide that I'm going to talk about, is 138% of federal poverty level. Those are the income guidelines that the federal government has set for Medi-Cal eligibility. So here we go. Here on the right side, I'm sure they're going to be sharing this presentation with everybody. It goes over what Medi-Cal covers. Medi-Cal, I'll briefly go over it. Outpatient care, emergency services, hospitalization, maternity, newborn care, mental health and substance use disorder services, prescription drugs, programs such as physical and, I can't see what it says here on the right side because I'm up here, laboratory services, pharmacy services. So that's a brief summary of what it covers. Now we're gonna go into income eligibility. Who is eligible and how much does Medi-Cal cost? I know people that have never applied for Medi-Cal before might not be familiar with it, but who is eligible? So I have 4 different categories here of eligibility. for a majority of people that have lost their income, that have lost their job and don't have a source of income, you will fall under what we call our general Medi-Cal population, which is anybody below 138% of federal poverty level. So if you see here on the graph I have up, if it's an individual, you could make $1,468 a month and be eligible for Medi-Cal. If you are a single mama, that's 2 people in your family, or 3 kids, whatever the amount of folks in your family, you look down. So here, if I'm a single father, I'm gonna look at 2, which means I can make up to $1,983 a month and qualify for Medi-Cal. If somebody is pregnant, you count that as 2 people. So if my wife is pregnant, the household size is actually going to be 3. Me, my wife, and the unborn child is actually counted. So that would allow us to make $2,498 per month in the household income and still be eligible for Medi-Cal. So obviously you would adjust that by family size. If you get beyond 6 family members, you add another $516 per month for every additional member. Okay, I know that sounds kind of complicated, but I'm hoping it's clear. For pregnant women, we actually, in California, want to ensure that pregnant women actually have access to the services that they need during this time. So that income eligibility threshold increases. So a pregnant woman can earn up to 213% of federal poverty, which would be, for that pregnant person, since it's technically counted as 2, up to $3,061 per month, and you would be eligible for Medi-Cal under our pregnancy Medi-Cal program. For individuals who enroll in Medi-Cal, some folks will miss it. So this is gonna get a little complicated here. So in California, if me and my wife have 2 kids, and I am above 138% of federal poverty, let's say I'm at 150% of federal poverty. Or actually, yeah, let's say I make a little too much to qualify for Medi-Cal. I won't be eligible and my wife won't be eligible because we're adults. But for children, since we're trying to ensure in our state that children get coverage, that 138% actually goes up to 160% of federal poverty that we could earn. So we could make a little bit more money. My children will qualify for Medi-Cal, full scope Medi-Cal, paid Medi-Cal. But me and my wife might have to get it through Covered California or through a different program, right? So yes, you can source your healthcare through different means in the same family, okay? So here, when you look at the targeted Medi-Cal targeted low-income children's program, that 160% of federal poverty level is where you don't pay anything out of pocket. But you could earn up to 266% of federal poverty level, which is that pink section there on the right side. The only difference being that once you pass the 160% threshold, then you have to pay what they call a premium. That premium is $13 per child for a family maximum of up to $39 per month. That means that if I have 3 kids, that I'm going to be paying $39 per month for their coverage. If I have a 4th child, it still caps at $39 per month. You don't add another $13 for that 4th child. So per family, the most you will pay out of pocket if you're 266 below federal poverty level is $39 per month for your children's coverage. You might have to source your coverage through Covered California or different means. Here we go. So we're gonna get into My Health LA. I think My Health LA is a very critical program. We're one of the few counties in the country that actually has a program like this. So hold on one second, I lost my place here. Bear with me. Okay, so the My Health LA program is actually a county-funded program. That means that no federal dollars are used for this program. It's funded through, I believe, we're up to $71 million of LA County funds, which means that since no federal dollars are being used, there is no fear of La Migra, like we say, or ICE, or you know, any of the immigration enforcement agencies being able to try to hold it against you. So when we talk about public charge, right? My Health LA is not impacted by the public charge. Or if you access My Health LA services, it will not be counted against you as a public charge. But it's also based on income eligibility. So it mimics Medi-Cal. So as long as you're income eligible, which means you're below 138% of federal poverty, you are eligible for this program. It's for people 26 and older that don't qualify for health insurance. So like I mentioned, immigration status is not an eligibility factor, as it is an LA County funded program. One of the requirements is that you must live in LA County. So you do have to have an address in Los Angeles County. And it is, like I mentioned, the same eligibility as Medi-Cal. So for a family of one, it's $1,468 per month that you could earn and still be eligible for this program. And just to clarify, My Health LA is a partnership between community clinics like mine. There's over 200 of them across LA County that participate in this program. St. John's Well Child and Family Center is the largest provider by far. We actually provide services to 26,000 undocumented people in LA County. And like I mentioned, we do primary care. If there's any type of specialty care required, we refer to an LA County hospital, like LA County USC Hospital, or what's the other one? UCLA Harbor. And there's many of those hospitals throughout the county. Okay, so before we move on to the next slide, I just want to mention that I did not create a Covered California specific slide on my PowerPoint for the sake of time. As purchasing Covered California health plans is kind of all over the board. It's based on your actual income. So financial assistance received by federal and state government is based on your individual income levels. So if you don't qualify for Medi-Cal, if let's say you're at 140% of federal poverty level, then you will have to go into Covered California and purchase one of their products there. The good thing is that the lower your income, the more help you will get from the federal government and from the state government to cover that cost. So I've included in the coming slides Covered California's web link and the service center phone number that you would be able to contact to get more specific information. Okay, so now we're going to get into the good stuff. Where can I apply? And for Medi-Cal, we're going to start with Medi-Cal. There are 3 major access points. Number 1 would be my clinic, St. John's Well Child and Family Center. I know that we are not closing. We are actually open. We have 30 benefits counselors that are on site at the clinics helping people enroll into these services. We know that this is a time of crisis and people, you know, are really freaked out about losing their healthcare. And since this is a pandemic, we want to make sure that people do have access to enroll into these services. So one, you could call that number listed, which is 323-541-1411. That's our call center. Somebody will answer English, Spanish. You would be able to ask to either make an appointment, a medical appointment, or you can specify and say, you know, I'm calling because I just lost my healthcare and I want to enroll into Medi-Cal, My Health LA, or Covered California. And we would be able to set you up an appointment with the benefits counselor so that you could come in and they would be able to walk you through the enrollment process or physically enroll you. they will explain what documentation you do need to bring, which we will cover towards the end of this presentation. So that would be one way to do it. You could call that phone number. You can also go on our webpage, which is www.wellchild.org, and find one of our 17 locations where you can walk in and also speak with the benefits counselor. The other option there would be to go directly through Los Angeles County Department of Public Social Services. I've listed their customer service center phone number, which is 866-613-3777. That's directly to the eligibility worker department. My colleague Alana earlier works with 211. That's also another number you can contact to get connected to a Department of Public Social Services. You can also apply online. I can't speak to whether their district offices are open or not. I know that our clinics are. I'm not clear on county district offices, but you can apply online and the link is there. You can also mail in an application. If you go onto their website, they have the application in multiple languages. I've only attached the English one here, but you can actually go on the website, download the application, fill it out, and submit it, mail it off to that address listed there. So I'm down to 5 minutes, so let me get you moving here. The other option for Medi-Cal is actually through Covered California. Sometimes people that are like between 138 and 140% of federal poverty don't know necessarily whether they fall into the Medi-Cal realm or the Covered California realm. If you go into Covered California on their website and enter your information, they deem, oh, you might be eligible for Medi-Cal. They will refer that application to the county, and then you will get a call back from county. So My Health LA, there's 2 main entry points into the My Health LA application process, and that would be coming to St. John's Wild Child and Family Center, like I mentioned earlier, in person, or calling and scheduling an appointment with the benefits counselor, or contacting the LA County Department of Health Services, which I have listed there. My Health LA member services is 844-744-6452. They're open Monday through Friday. This is the call number, or you can also contact 211. Okay, Covered California. Covered California is quite simple. You go on their website and do the application online. You could call one of their service center numbers there and speak to a live person. Or like I mentioned, you could come into St. John's Wild Child and Family Center. Our benefits counselors are certified to do Covered California enrollment as well. There's also a third one, which is actually a storefront. So if you go on their website, they'll list storefronts like other insurance companies that provide different types of insurance that they contract with that will be able to enroll you. One thing's important, it was mentioned earlier, there's a lot of fraud going on. For all of the different programs I just mentioned, there should not be any type of fee. You shouldn't go anywhere and they tell you, oh, it's gonna be $50 to enroll you. If that's the case, it's probably not a legitimate enrollment entity, okay? So lastly, we're gonna go into what documentation does one need to bring to apply. Depending on what program you're applying for, there's different documentation that would be required. So when you call in, if you say, I want to apply for My Health LA, they'll tell you what documentation you can bring. But below is a list of the different areas that you might have to bring, which is proof of identification, proof of address, especially if you're applying for My Health LA. Hold on 1 second, I lost my place here. Proof of income or lack of income if you just lost your job. And then other information, birth certificate, passport, certificate of naturalization, permanent resident card, social security card, proof of pregnancy if you're applying for one of the pregnancy specific programs. So I know I'm out of time here, but in conclusion, like I mentioned earlier, you're not alone. St. John's Wild Child and Family Center locations remain open for medical services and to help you enroll into services. So thank you so much for your time. If you feel like contacting our clinic, 323-241-1411. Thank you.
Mario, did you want to briefly share the last slide? I think you took it out before folks got out.
Yeah, that's just the contact information.
Got
Yeah,
it.
that's our contact information, which I already went over earlier, thewildchild.org or our call center that you would be able to call.
Thank you, Mario. We really appreciate it and all the very valuable, dense, but important information, especially in the middle part. You did a great job of explaining it. So we appreciate all the information. And so we'll follow up. I know there was some specific healthcare questions. Again, we're taking note of them in the chat. We'll send them over to Mario, and him and his team can prepare some answers for folks, especially around thematic teams. So up next, we're going to give it the third time is the charm with Betty Jimenez of LA Regional Food Bank.
Hello,
Betty?
good morning.
Oh, yay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you great.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Thank you for bearing with me, and sorry for the hold up here. I'm glad we got this fixed. My name is Betty Jimenez. I am with the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank.
You want to show your screen?
Yes, let me go ahead and share my screen. Let me know if you can see that. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so let me go ahead and get started here. Our mission is to mobile resources to fight hunger in our community. To fulfill our mission, we source and acquire food and other products and distribute to needy people through charitable agencies or directly through programs. We energize the community to get involved and support hunger relief, conduct hunger education and awareness campaigns, and advocate for public policies that alleviate hunger.
Thanks, Betty.
Are you able to see my screen here?
Yeah, if you don't mind just going to slideshow and from beginning, I think that would.
Can you guide? Oh, I see that. Sorry about that.
No. In the top, the very top, it's slideshow. There you go. And then from beginning.
Oh.
And then just scroll through them.
Okay, our agency network. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank serves all LA County only. So these are our service spot. It's abbreviated for service planning area. So the areas that we cover is Antelope Valley, San Fernando Valley, San Gabriel Valley, the metro area, West LA, South LA, East LA, and the South Bay area. The organizations that we provide the food for are pantries. We provide food for the on-site locations. Pantries distribute groceries, and the on-site agencies create meals. So the difference is the pantries, they are open to the public. Anyone can arrive and receive the food. They could be pre-bagged, they can be in boxes. We do offer that they do a client choice. On-site agencies where they create meals is where the organization cook the meal at the actual site, and then the client goes and eat the hot meal there as well. So the other different type of agencies that we provide food for are pantries. Those are the meal programs, which we call them soup kitchens. We provide the food for shelters, schools, most likely for schools. The majority are like after school programs. We provide snacks, senior programs, and veteran programs. Service and programs at agency, some of them do provide referrals, housing assistance, utility assistance, motel vouchers, clothing, medical, dental, optometry, case management, education, street outreach, and special events. Not all of them provide these type of services. Some of them is upon request, some of them do offer it, but the majority, it's most likely the Salvation Armies. And if it comes across that case, then that's when they ask for extended information. If it's strictly just for food, they can either take an ID just to verify that they live within the area, or some of them don't ask for anything at all. And all this, the food is free of charge. Pantry partnerships. The agency partners must be 501c3 public organizations. Oops, lost my slide there. Okay, the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank requires all agencies to have food safety training. The Department of Oh my goodness, I'm sorry. It keeps changing. The Department of PH Environmental Health requires that all agencies be registered with their department. Agencies are visited at least once annually or more often as needed. Visits are unannounced. So we do go out to our pantries once a year. Once they get approved, we also do a thorough inspection to authorize that they are eligible to receive the food from us and to authorize that they're okay to distribute the food at their organization. How pantries operate. Pantries are separate entities from food bank. The food bank is their food resource only. Pantries must follow distribution requirements and food safety requirements. We suggest distribution methods such as client choice, but the decision is ultimately up to the agency. At the moment, they are practicing social distance, so we are providing a glove, mask, and bags. That way they can bag their food. As I mentioned earlier, some of them do offer client choice, but we're trying to avoid that at the moment. So that's why we're offering the bags. That way they can pre-bag their food and have it for faster service. The food bank also assists with funding when available, equipment, and volunteers. We do come across amount of donations such as trucks, and we have in the past donated trucks to our agencies, also vans. And for the past year, we have helped out our agencies with volunteers. A lot of them are lacking volunteers, so our volunteer department assists with that. We do offer CalFresh at our outreach program. So our coordinator goes out to the location and they're there signing everyone up who is interested in becoming part of the CalFresh program. The food bank coordinates efforts to ensure each community has food resource available. If needed, we will distribute via our mobile pantry as well. So this is our website right here where we give out our referrals. The person may look it up on our website. If you go to find food, they can look it up by city or zip code. We also have assistance by phone as well. If they give us a call, we will give them the same information that is on our website. As right now, we are trying to update our information as much as we can, twice a day. So allow me to give you a demonstration of our website here. And does everyone see the website at the moment?
No,
You can't see the website?
no, we just see your PowerPoint.
Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is our website right here. If you go to find food, this is where you can locate the pantries near your area. Let's see the LA area near us, 58. And all the information is right here. The name of the organization, the address. If you click on more info, this is our distribution days and hours. So the client may arrive during these hours, especially now with the COVID-19 crisis, the distribution days and time might change. They can go ahead and call beforehand before showing up, or they can show up. Like I said, we try our best to update our information daily. They can also go ahead and go extended as 25-mile radius, so it'll give you the larger list. You see that right there. And anyone qualifies to go to these pantries. Again, this is free of charge. No organization should be asking for any type of donation at all. And some agencies do have income guidelines, but that is for the client to self-certify that they do qualify for the free food. These agencies are not allowed to ask for any pay stub, especially asking for food, like I mentioned before. If they're asking for additional assistance, then that's when they would ask for more extended information. Okay.
And we can now see your inbox, Betty.
Okay. Let me go back to the PowerPoint. Can you see the PowerPoint?
No.
Are you able to see the PowerPoint now?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let me go ahead and go back to the slideshow. Okay, again, my name is Betty Jimenez, and in case you did not get the website, it is www.lafoodbank.org. Again, we are also receiving referrals by phone if anyone does not have access to the internet, and we'll be happy to assist you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. And so up next, and so just another plug for folks who might have joined us or not, Scarlett will share the link, but we are working with LA Food Bank tomorrow in a very large food distribution for those that are healthy and able to attend. PPE equipment to protect ourselves will be available tomorrow in Commerce, large distribution, and Scarlett will share the link on where you can find out more information in the chat section. Up next, we have Sandri Kramer, who's going to speak to us about mental health and mental health resources, especially in these times where we know, all of this takes a toll on us, not just physically, but on our mental health, given the unprecedented nature of it and the uncertainty and the consequences of COVID-19. So I'm going to pass it off to Sandri, who will kick it off with her presentation.
Great, thank you, Hugo. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So here we go. So speaking of challenging times or managing stress, I just realized I'm trying to move, I'm on a different call at the same time as this one. I'm trying to move that off to the side. So I'm hoping that you guys don't hear it in the background because I wasn't quite able to completely mute that. So my name is Sandri Kramer, and I'm with the Didi Hirsch Suicide Prevention Center, and one of the two main lines that we run for the nation, really, in terms of the disaster distress helpline. That is a national line that is meant for anybody who is suffering from anxiety or stress or some sort of like emotional upheaval due to any man-made or natural disasters. And our current crisis of COVID-19 absolutely falls in that category. And so we are being promoted as a national resource, and I encourage all of you guys to, if you have the need to just talk to somebody about your fears or anger or whatever it is that you need, our team is here to help support that. The other main line that we run is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and that lifeline, which is one of the busiest centers, we cover all of Southern California for the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Okay, so that's who we are. Oops, I'm gonna make sure I'm able to move forward here. So I will list this again at the very end of my presentation as well, but this is the number for the National Disaster Distress Helpline. It's 24/7 English and Spanish. And you can also use the Talk With Us to connect to the short code 66746 if you prefer to have conversations via text with them. But I want to make sure that you all are aware of this particular resource. So what is stress? Well, I mean, we hear it all the time. People talk about, I'm stressed out, or, this is so stressful. So in a way, we kind of know what it is, but the official definition is that stress is the way we react emotionally, mentally, and physically to situations that we find difficult, threatening, or unmanageable. Okay. So if you're like the zebra, picture over here showing a clear physical sign of stress. And that happens to all of us. And in a little bit, we'll go over what those signs might look like for all of us, really. So in this era of coronavirus, COVID-19, it is absolutely common to feel stress symptoms in anticipation of, perhaps you are in an area where it's not so hard hit yet, or you're keeping a close eye on yourself and your loved ones, and nothing has happened yet, but you can feel it's coming your way. Certainly during the crisis, and unfortunately even after things have abated, because of course there's a numerous, long-term impact of this particular crisis. So some of the ways that COVID-19 is having a devastating impact on our lives: concern about our own health, concern about our loved ones, maybe not their health, but perhaps our inability to check in on them or to take care of them. Obviously, we're experiencing as a society, and you've heard from our previous speakers already, enormous levels of job loss, unprecedented. And even though many of us might have had, notices of lost jobs for right now, there is no guarantee ever that these jobs will come back to us. There may be some promises that are being made, and that's good. And I think that a lot of employers are recognizing that some of the measures that they're putting into place are most likely temporary, but we don't know what that's going to look like. And of course, the immediate impact of that is a loss of income, or certainly reduced income. And for many, perhaps you're close to retirement, perhaps you had saved up something, and now you don't know what that little nest egg that you have is going to look like. Or if you don't have one, how are you going to manage that? And again, we've already heard some great information around that in terms of our credit and things like that. But sometimes we're so desperate, we don't really know what else to do. These things that I'm listing here right now, all of these bullet points, are presenting issues that we get on our crisis lines. So both the National Suicide Hotline and the National Disaster Distress Helpline. There's a lot of isolation happening, and that's particularly happening to our most vulnerable populations, which are our elderly, or people already with special needs. That's a problem. And so, one of the ways that we can cope with significant amount of stress is to support each other. And having to physically isolate ourselves can make that very challenging, especially for some people. Public transportation is impacted in some areas. And again, a lot of people may not be capable to get out of the house, out of their homes, without support. Okay. Well, I don't know how this is for you all, but we know certainly in the very beginning, we got a lot of calls about people being afraid that they will not be able to get that toilet paper that they need, or their medication, or enough food in the house, or enough potable water. So that has been an astounding, a very quick effect of the hoarding that's been going on, because people don't know, the times are so uncertain, so we don't know how long those grocery stores are staying open, right? And there's a little bit of this pack mentality. If your neighbor is doing it and you see others in the store stocking up and leaving with carts full of supplies, then you had best do the same thing, because otherwise when you go in for your weekly grocery shopping, it's no longer there. So I know that most of us are aware that it's not that dire, and that there really is going to be enough supplies as long as people don't hoard. So that is at least one way that we can all share some, good common sense to say, listen, it's okay. We're not going to run out of toilet paper. as long as we are all aware of the fact that, you know, sharing is caring in this particular case, perhaps not virus, but certainly supplies in the stores. And then another thing that's really popping up a lot, I haven't looked at the latest numbers from our crisis lines, but I know that we have been getting an influx of people of Asian descent feeling discriminated against. And I say feeling, and I don't necessarily mean that is just their perception. That is absolutely happening. We know it's happening. And so you can imagine if you are concerned, you have all these concerns that are already up here on the screen in front of you. And now on top of that, you're being discriminated against. Again, that can add to a lot of mental anguish. So these are just some of the things that we're seeing popping up in relation to the current situation. So for those of you who have your cell phones nearby, if you want to participate, I'm just going to have 2 quick polls, but again, you know, it's a little bit of active participation here. If you would like to join us for our next interactive poll, I need you to go to your messaging app on your cell phone, and you're going to send a message to this short code 22333, and the message you're going to send is the keyword DDSPC. So it's right there on the screen. DIDISPC, all spelled together. It doesn't matter if it's capitalized or not, however that happens to you. So sign in, see if you have done that properly. You will get like a welcome message. And then what I'm going to ask you guys to do after you've done that, and I'm going to show you our next slide, is I'm going to ask you a question, and if you could please give us 1-word answers or hyphenate a multi-word response, exactly the way I've done it right now. Okay, so that way, because what we're going to do, we're going to together form a word cloud. Okay, so I hope everybody got those instructions correctly. And here is our poll. Oh, somebody put in a number. What I would like for you guys to do, and you can answer as many times as you want to, is put in a word that you are currently worrying about. So that could be work, that could be health, anything like that. So if you type those words in, there you go. We're going to together create a word cloud. And the reason we're doing this together is to, you know, battle one of those things that, you know, on our list that I just showed you guys, which is that isolation, right? We kind of know that we're all in this together, but it's so helpful to kind of see that we're all sharing, you know, in our current concerns, and knowing that will hopefully make it easier for all of us to reach out to each other and, you know, understand that we're all doing the best we can, and what we're worried about, others are worried about as well, and it is okay to express that. And in a little bit, we're going to, I'm going to show you some of the things that you could potentially do, and I'm going to ask you some of the things that you could potentially do. And what is interesting, and so you see these words that are growing quite large, which is health, family, money, and I see work in there. So the more entries we get on certain words, the bigger those words grow. And it looks like for all of us, the top 3 appear to be family, money, and health. Okay, so I'm glad somebody is concerned about beer. That's good. I'm sometimes I try to pick out the nice ones in here to just to take a look at it. But look at that, you guys. This is all shared concern, and sometimes that can be very helpful. it normalizes it for all of us. Like, we all have a right to have these types of concerns, right? Okay, so I'm going to move on to our next slide. Okay, so this is so stop responding because they won't show up here anymore. Okay, so it's the next slide. So what are some of the signs of stress? Well, we're going to pull up a few, and this list, by the way, is by no means exhaustive. First of all, we might be sleeping too much, or we might be sleeping too little. We might be eating too much, or we might be eating too little. We might be pulling away from people and things that normally give us joy. A lot of us are actually experiencing low or no energy. And, you know, perhaps in the beginning, you're kind of like, oh, I don't have to commute, or there's, you know, I have some free time now, or whatever it is. You try and find a positive, but after a while, it has a significant impact on your mental well-being, which in turn can significantly lower your energy. And here's a tough one. You can have a lot of unexplained aches and pains, stomach aches, headaches, and unfortunately, some of these symptoms, these physical symptoms, can also be potentially signs of having COVID-19. Well, that sucks. That means you're worried and your anxiety is causing you these pains, and on top of that, you're going to have even more anxiety. And that's hard, and it's not an easy thing to dissipate, but it is important to be aware of the fact that we're just going to be more prone to physical symptoms during these times. Feelings of helplessness, there is nothing I can do to make it better, or hopelessness, things are never going to get better, will pop up for all of us. And sometimes they can be overwhelming. And when they're overwhelming, it might be time to reach out for help. And again, I'm going to talk about that in just a little bit. Other things that are signs of stress are things like, oh, I'm going to be smoking more, drinking more, or might be using more drugs, which would include over-the-counter or prescription medications, things that I, maybe don't usually do, or not to this extent, are starting to increase. Or I might find myself completely unable to turn off that worrying voice in the back of my head. It's probably the thing that is going to prevent me from sleeping at night. And that's going to be very difficult to be able to turn that off. And again, in a little bit, we'll share some potential ways to battle against that. But it's very, very hard. Worrying will have an immediate impact on our physical well-being, okay? Because that's what stress can do. You might find yourself being more easily angered and having a lot less patience. I'm telling you right now, I'll share with you, that's certainly the case for me. I'm lucky enough that my son is 13, so not as demanding of my attention as he would have been when he was younger, but having me at home all day, he's not used to that. Of course, we're not used to that. And he may just, come up with some what I perceive to be inane questions or situations. And that's really challenging my ability to patiently respond to that and be the adult in the situation. And that's fine. That will happen to all of us. And then we talk about it. And so it helps, him as well. Really important, you might start having some time concentrating or remembering things. We call these cognitive functioning, and they're going to be impacted, for example, when you struggle with any level of anxiety or depression. It's kind of hard. You may find yourself having more of these so-called senior moments, walking into a room going like, now, why did I walk into this room? Or I was just about to say something, but I forgot what I was going to say. They may pop up more. Don't worry, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have, early onset dementia or anything like that. It is quite a common sign of anxiety, stress, and depression. This is a tough one, this next one. You might find it a lot harder to focus on something that you're reading or that you're watching or even a conversation that you're having. And that's additionally, that's extra challenging because it kind of means these are the kind of things that would be so helpful, right? To take your mind off of things. And yet it's that worrying voice that's going to prevent you from doing these kinds of focused activities. Again, don't add on to your worries. If you start noticing this, just recognize that, oh yeah, that's a sign of stress. I know that this might happen. For those of you who are suddenly finding yourself at home, you might have a very difficult time adjusting to that. You may find yourself, looking at your household and not quite knowing where to start, how to keep things organized. You may get cabin fever. All of these things could happen and can be a sign of stress. And then finally, if those feelings of hopelessness and helplessness start to become too large, you might actually start having thoughts of suicide or even wanting to hurt somebody else. Those are not necessarily common signs, but they're also absolutely not rare. And there's help for you out there. If you start having any of those feelings, please reach out. Start with calling the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number. Okay, and again, I'll give that towards the end as well. All right, great. Thanks, Sandra. Now I feel even more stressed because you listed all these possible signs, and I think I have all of them. So not to worry, we're going to move into how do we cope with things and why is it sometimes so difficult to cope with it. Okay, so I want to just show you a quick little exercise in case you are feeling that you should be managing better. To illustrate that, here is Bob. Bob is this little guy over here. And for those of you who are named Bob on this webinar, sorry, this is not, don't take it personally. It's not about you. Bob is generally a pretty happy-go-lucky guy. He manages well with stuff happening in his life. And if you can see, he's standing on solid ground in the shape of an arrow. And that arrow is to indicate that while we all have stresses in our lives, there are things that keep us going, right? So movement forward to the future, there's something there to look forward to, and we just hold on to that while we deal with these stressors. Back to Bob. So Bob, he's noticing, the fear around COVID-19 has been building up. And so he is now needing to prepare, needs to stand in grocery store lines and finding himself perhaps not, getting enough of certain things, but, he's managing more or less, but it is definitely a bit of a stressor to have to suddenly deal with that particular thing. Bob's also worried about exposure because he just learned that a colleague of his, and they now have all, they stopped production, and so he hasn't seen these colleague in a little while, but he's heard through his work that somebody had COVID-19 and for everybody to be extra careful who might have been in contact with him. And so he feels healthy enough and he's not particularly close to that person, but still he's got some worries, right? And then he hears from his work that they're actually going to do some temporary layoffs. Oish, that's tough. And that's, Bob is not alone in that. And it's immediately going to cause him some financial stress. So Bob, normally a happy guy, is starting to struggle a little bit. On top of that, he's actually now starting to show some of those signs of stress, and he's not sure if he's getting sick, if maybe he does have the virus after all, but he's really starting to not feel so well. Now, Bob is also hearing from his family that they're not doing very well. His elderly parents don't have anybody to take care of them, and they're struggling with having somebody come in to provide them with supplies and things like that. But Bob is too far away, and he's self-quarantining because of the exposure. So there's nothing he can do, but he's very worried about that. Now Bob is starting to hear about other people in his network who have lost jobs, who might be really sick. And it starts to feel very overwhelming for Bob. And so probably no big surprise, on top of everything else, Bob's dealing with depression. And it's not necessarily clinical depression, but certainly situational depression. That's a lot of stressors piled on top of each other. And what happened to Bob's view of the future, the things that kept him going? Well, he can't see what's on the other side. So that could be happening to you, could be happening to your loved ones. And hopefully this kind of provides you with an understanding of how some people might be able to cope and others might not be, because we don't know the amount of the stresses that are piled up for them. And it makes it really hard for them to keep going. So how do you know when it's time for you to press the help button? When it's time, when you recognize, oh, you may be at the end of your rope. Things might be at a breaking point. Well, one of the things that you can do is a little bit of a self-check. So you saw some of the signs that are shared with you, but you can also ask yourselves these questions. When I feel agitated, do I know how to calm myself down? Can I easily let go of my anxiety or frustration or anger? Can I turn to others from work or friends or family to help calm me down and feel better? Do I have that kind of supportive network? Am I finding myself distracted or moody? Am I picking fight? And when my energy is low, do I know how to boost it? So I'm going to leave this up here for a second because I really want you to think about that and do sort of an internal check and recognize for some of these things, oh yes, I do know how to calm myself down. I just forget sometimes. Or there is this one friend I haven't checked in with yet and they always make me laugh, and so let me give them a call. If I find myself with a lot of different up and down moods, what are some of the things, or anger for that matter, what are some of the things that I can do to distract myself from that moodiness or that anger? Okay. And when my energy is really low and I recognize I'm just sitting on the couch, binge watching something on Netflix, what do I do to lift that energy a little bit? Do I know how to boost it? So ask yourself these questions and find answers for yourself, okay? Because obviously this is unique to everybody. Because, you know, here's the thing, if you don't manage your own stress, it will definitely start to manage you. And those minor symptoms can turn into bigger symptoms. And what's the point of all of us surviving COVID-19 if we actually weren't able to survive it mentally? So it's very important to take care of yourself and to ask for help. Okay, so this asking for help does include, you know, finding or building a support system if you don't have one. And do not be afraid to pick up the phone and call national hotlines like the Disaster Distress Helpline or the Suicide Lifeline. They're here specifically for this purpose. That is why we exist. And asking for help, hopefully now that you understand that many of us are struggling with that, will make it a little bit easier for you to do so. But still, there are things that prevent us from reaching out. You know, we may tell ourselves, no, I need to be strong. My family is counting on me. I definitely don't want others to think I'm weak. Nothing can be done anyway. And, you know, I should know how to handle it. I can't fall apart. Others have it so much worse. And I'm freaking scared. But you know what? That's all of us. All of us are feeling this way. And so the best way to manage it is to just rid yourself of these barriers and understand that in order to survive this, you're going to have to do that self-care. So before I give you a quick list of some coping strategies going back to our interactive poll, the question now is, again, remember to answer with one-word answers or hyphenated answers. What are some of the things that you're doing to help you cope? And let's see what we can come up with as a community. I like that. You know what, as we're building this, I want to share with you that I actually talked about trying out new recipes, you know, baking my own bread, which I actually really like doing, but I never have the time for. And now I do, and there's nothing better than the smell of fresh baked bread. And it also means I don't have to go to the grocery store as often to get fresh bread. So those are some of the interesting things. And another one, and I'll share that with you in a minute when I show you a different website. But I like to use a lot of garlic now that there's less people who can complain about the smell of garlic when we eat garlicky food. Oh my gosh, look at that, you guys. Look how quickly you came up. This is a very rapidly growing list. And I don't know what beans means, but I like it. How do you cope with beans? Excellent. I really want to leave this up here for a little while because I think it's actually incredibly rich what we're all coming up with. And maybe what I'll do, Hugo, at the end of this presentation, I'll share these word clouds with you in case people forget, you know, and can have some reminders of what they can do. I love it. Excellent, guys. You're doing a good job. This is really important, very important. So I'm going to move on to the next slide as we continue to build this. Perfect. All right, here are some strategies straight from the national hotlines and SAMHSA and Health and Human Services Department, the federal government. Number one, turn off the news. I capitalized every word because absolutely, if we can be inundated, it can absolutely increase our anxiety. So please try to prevent yourself from doing that. Here's something really important. Make sure you get the correct information. You heard an excellent presentation from 211. And again, in some regions that might be 311. Alana had already mentioned that. Go and get your information from these trusted resources: 211, the CDC, your county departments of public health. They have a lot of information out there, and they have their finger on the pulse. So they know what new guidelines are in place and what updated information is important to share. So go to those websites. The World Health Organization, since this is a world crisis that we're dealing with, also has some wonderful information. And I wanted to actually show you how to stay away from news that is not good, right? Or how to make sure that you differentiate. They created this great coronavirus disease advice for the public Mythbusters page. And if you go through here, there are some things on here that, you know, you might have heard, and I just want to make sure that you know the facts. The new coronavirus can be transmitted in areas with hot and humid climates. Cold weather will not kill it. Taking a hot bath does not prevent the virus from coming your way. Mosquito bites are not the ones that are transmitting this particular virus. No, hand dryers are not enough in effectively killing the virus. Neither are ultraviolet disinfection lamps. I mean, these are things that I didn't even know about, but clearly, you know, are spreading like wildfire. While thermometer and thermal scanners are helpful to know whether or not people might have fevers, a lot of people don't have any symptoms like that. So it's certainly not a foolproof way to detect the virus. Please don't spray alcohol or chlorine all over your body. Understand that there are currently no tested vaccines yet, and certainly pneumonia is not one to, a vaccine won't help. Neither will regularly rinsing your nose with saline. And I'm going to leave it at this one because this is actually how I came across it. Unfortunately, eating garlic will not help prevent infection with the new coronavirus. However, we do know that garlic does have some antimicrobial properties, and that kind of goes back to that notion. Let me go back to my my PowerPoint here. It goes back to that notion of, you know, taking good care of yourself, right? Maintain routines is another very important thing to do. It's really hard, and initially you might not have been able to do that. And of course, there's certain parts of your routines that you cannot maintain, but getting up and going to bed at the same time as you usually do can be really important. Engage in physical activities as much as you can. All the gyms are closed in our county right now. But as long as you maintain good social distancing outside, you can still go outside. And there are things that you can do in front of your, you know, in your living room, like yoga. We saw that that was one of the answers for self-care activities. There are definitely things you can do at home, and perhaps it's time to start a new routine when it comes to physical activity. We're telling you to isolate, but please do it in moderation. Outside from, you know, stepping out of your home every now and then, there's these things available like Zoom, Slack channel, WhatsApp, any kind of FaceTime. There's a lot of social media connection platforms out there that are free. And I highly encourage you guys to just maybe have a weekly check-in with all your white and far spread family members. And you can see each other in Zoom or on WhatsApp. Pets. I don't know if you guys know this, but there actually has been, most shelters have closed their adoption processes right now. There's actually more than ever people who are trying to find a pet. I am one of those. It was my son's 13th birthday present is to adopt a kitty, and we cannot go and adopt a kitty. So those of you who have any, if you know of any, please let me know. Email me. I'll share my email towards the end of this. But our pets can provide so much love and calmness, and that's exactly what is needed. And then finally, use your creative outlets, okay? And I'm not just talking about creating arts or anything like that, but I'm also talking about is thinking outside of the box. All right, some tips, things that you can do. Hey, maybe you've always wanted to be a big star on YouTube. Well, now might be the time for you to start doing that. You could volunteer. There's still organizations out there that can use remote volunteers or even hands-on volunteers while maintaining social distancing. Volunteering, you guys, definitely can lead to employment. I'm a good example of that. I've worked for the Suicide Prevention Center for 25 years, and I started there as a volunteer. I know that is not necessarily the main reason for volunteering, but it can help. You never know. Think of some of things that you could do. Perhaps you could provide grocery shopping or run errands for people who are otherwise housebound. And perhaps some are willing and able to provide you or to do that. You can ask them for a fee. The same with cooking or catering. Oh my gosh, there's so many people out there who do not usually cook for themselves and really don't know how to manage that. And offering services like that, especially for people who may have elderly relatives and they need some healthy meals being delivered to them, that may be something you can set up. Perhaps you can start up your own or expand cleaning services, because I tell you, a lot of offices who have to stay open have stepped up their cleaning and disinfection processes. And so there's definitely work out there to be had. Just in general, make a list of what are your marketable skills, and then think about what is needed right now and what can you do to help, okay? Just remember that self-care builds resilience. You cannot take care of others if you don't take care of yourself first, okay? And that's what I have right now. I will also share some of these mental health resources with Hugo afterwards. You can certainly send those out to the group. These are, as I promised, the numbers for the National Disaster Distress Helpline and the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. And both of these hotlines are national. Both of them are 24/7 English and Spanish. Both of them employ language lines. So even folks from other using languages outside of English or Spanish will be able to help them. And just don't be afraid to ask for help. And I think that's it, Hugo. That's all I have.
Thank you so much, Sandra. We really appreciate everything you shared with us, especially, you know, this is a critical time. Sometimes I know in my household, it sometimes growing up, it was a taboo item. And I think it's important to discuss mental health and recognize that it's like any physical injury. It takes a toll on our mental health, all that's going on, and we're carrying. And a lot of the folks on the call are heads of households or have relatives struggling themselves. So it's something very beneficial to all of us, and really appreciate you taking the time and going into detail. So with that, folks, it does conclude the webinar. But before you start logging out, one thing. Let me share my screen with folks. This is the lcs-la.org/resources. In there, we have stuff from the labor movement, resources from across the different sectors of the labor movement, info guides and web pages they've put up, including when the Paycheck Stops, an AFL-CIO survival guide to unemployment, which they just revamped for these times, and Union Plus benefits available. We also have a general section up there, just general information from General Relief Program to 1LA, things for folks who have kids and staying up with education and kids not being in school, stuff on utilities. We have the support services for workers from the EDD, rights and protections and workers from the EDD, stuff on food access, stuff on healthcare, and items on housing, on immigration, and places to volunteer as well. And speaking on the volunteer piece, again, tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., if folks need to pick up food, it'll be drive-by only. Picking up food must be in a vehicle from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Here is the address. And for folks who wish to volunteer, Scarlett put out the link in the chat. We will be there from 7 a.m. For those of us volunteering, we'll be there early as 7 a.m. And again, it's if you're healthy and you're able to, and we will provide protective equipment to make sure that we're practicing social distance and being careful with these items. So with that, everyone, we really thank you for your time. The stuff will be sent out this has been recorded. So for folks who wish to share it out, found it helpful, we'll have it recorded and you can share it with your members and everyone available. And we'll also make sure if you registered, as you notice when you register for the webinar, you include your email. We'll make sure to email out all the material from folks. And just one thing, I know language justice is important to us. We don't have some of this material in Spanish, but we're looking to find ways to make sure stuff is translated and accessible to folks, both for future, including a Spanish webinar in the future for folks. So we want to make sure that we make all the materials accessible to as many communities as possible. Armando, do you want to add anything before we close out?
No, I just want to say what a remarkable panel, and all good information that can utilize. If you don't live in the LA County, there's similar agencies that can help you in your county dealing with 211, stress, food. So we're all in this together, and really appreciate you taking the time and being with us. And you'll hear more from the LA County Federation of Labor and Labor Community Services Food and Emergency Program. Thank you all.
Thank you, Armando. And again, to close out, on behalf of Ron Herrera, President of the LA County Federation of Labor. We're here to support and thank you to our amazing comms team, Christian Castro, comms director, and Scarlett Ying, our comms associate who were instrumental in putting this together. And of course, this would not be possible without our amazing panelists. So thank you to them again. Thank you, everyone.